Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to all of you. I am Mr. Rabia Kungle and I am your OCM teacher, and we are on the last topic of the very first chapter, that is uh, sorry that is Introduction to Commerce and Business. Okay, so we have studied what do you mean by business, we have studied what do you mean by profession, and we have also studied what do you mean by employment in the previous lectures. If we have to revise, we could say that business is an economic activity which deals with buying and selling of goods and services. Then profession is an activity, economic activity, under which a person uses his educational knowledge and skills, and he have to have a specific education to fulfill one profession. Like, for example, for being a doctor you should have a proper degree in medical, and for being a teacher you have to have a degree in education. Okay, and for being a lawyer you have to have a proper qualification of a lawyer and degree in law. Then only you can conduct your profession. And what do you mean by employment? Employment means under which an individual works for somebody else and gets paid on a monthly or yearly basis. Here there were two people, employer and employee, and it was for the economic well-being of both the parties. Okay, so today we are going to study about classification of business activities. What are Business is classified into two: industry and commerce. What do you mean by industry? We'll be studying in detail in today's lecture. Okay, first I'll give you just about classification of business activities. Business is classified into two: industry and commerce. Then industry is classified into three: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Then commerce is classified into two: trade and auxiliaries to trade. Whereas primary industry includes agriculture, extractive and genetic industry; secondary industry includes manufacturing and construction industry; tertiary industry includes transport, banking, hotel and tourism. Trade is divided into two: home trade and foreign trade. And home trade is divided into wholesale and retail. Foreign trade is divided into three: import, export and interport trade. Okay, so what do you mean by industry? Industry implies the economic activities that are associated with the conversion of resources into goods that are ready for use. This involves production and processing of goods, mining, breeding, and rearing of animals. The goods produced may be consumer goods or capital goods. Normally, consumer goods are directly consumed by final consumers, whereas capital goods are used by another industry for the production of goods. Industry is basically a place where the raw materials are converted into finished goods. Like, tomato is a raw material, and from this tomato, if ketchup is made, the place where the tomatoes are crushed and converted into ketchup, that place is called as an industry. So here production and processing of goods take place. Industry is a place where production and processing of goods takes place, and where the raw material is converted into final product. Another example of industry would be given is where sugar cane are crushed and sugar is formed. Now, if we see the difference between both these products, tomato, ketchup, and sugar, now which of them are capital goods and which of them is uh, consumer goods? Okay, so here I have said that consumer goods are directly consumed by final consumer. Tomato ketchup is directly consumed by final consumers. You use it for your benefit, for your eating. Whereas sugar can either be used as a consumer good or as a capital good. Like, sugar can be used by consumer for consumption and also by other industries for forming another products. Like, sugar can be used by chocolate making factory, or uh, any place where sweet items are made. Sugar can be used as a capital good, wherein it now, for the sugarcane industry, sugarcane was for the sugar industry, sugarcane was the raw material and sugar was the final product. But for a chocolate factory, sugar is a raw material and chocolate is the final product. And do you understand the difference between consumer goods and capital goods? Consumer goods are ready for use by consumers directly, and capital goods can be used by other industry to produce another final product. Okay, industry creates form utility. It changes the form of the product, like sugar cane is changed to sugar, sugar is changed to jaggery or sugar syrup. Okay, then it creates form utility. It converts raw material into usable finished products. All this is possible with the help of manpower, machine power, and large capital investment. This is important that for industries to run, you require huge capital because the setup of the industry is very huge, and there are big plants, big factories, big machineries, a lot of manpower, a lot of machine power, a lot of electricity, and all these things requires huge amount of money for running. Okay, then there are three types of industries: primary industry, secondary industry, and tertiary industry. The first and primary industry is, it is a place which is concerned with nature, anything that is related to nature or anything which is nature oriented industry. The products of primary industry may be used as an input of secondary industry. Like, first is agriculture industry. This includes farming and cultivation of land. The quality of products depend on many factors like fertility of land, climatic conditions, rainfall, etc. Agricultural industry, here if you see about primary industries, they are not in the form of a unit like a big factory with big machine or big plant. No, in primary industry, very basic and nature oriented things are there. Like in agriculture industry, there are agricultural farms where where some things are produced. Like, I'll give examples again. For pickle making industry, what is the raw material? Mangoes. Mangoes are made in primary industry, in agricultural industry. For ketchup, tomato, again from agriculture industry. For sugar cane, again from agriculture industry. For cloth, cotton, cotton again comes from agricultural industry. So farming of cotton, sugarcane, tomatoes, and any such things are comes under agriculture industry. And the products of agriculture industry can be used by secondary industries for producing better products. Extractive industry, this industry draws out products from natural resources, that is soil, air, and water. Generally, the products are in industries for producing finished products. For example, sorry, generally the products are in industries are in raw form, and they are used by manufacturing and construction industries for producing finished products. Okay, for example, extracting oil and minerals from underground, fishing and forestry, etc., may be used in crude form and may be sent to other industries for further processing. Here, extractive industry, by the name itself, it suggests that there is an extraction of certain things: extraction of fuel, extraction of minerals, extraction of anything that comes from the earth, you could say, like fuel, oil, petrol, crude oil, kerosene, all these things comes under extractive industries. Here, the things that are received in extractive industries are always in the raw form, and they can be sent to other manufacturers for processing and further utilization. You can give examples of crude oils, kerosene, petroleum, diesel, and all such things. Okay. Genetic industries are engaged in reproduction and multiplication of plants and animals. For example, animal husbandry, sericulture, and horticulture. Okay, bee farming. You must have heard about horticulture. And then You must have heard about sericulture. It is related to silk worm, where silkworms are given such conditions that they produce silk, and out of that silk threads, silk cloth is made. Then then farming, then animal husbandry, then you must have seen uh, places where plants are grown in multiplication and reproduced, like they are given such conditions that they produce in a better way. Okay, so genetic industries includes animal husbandry, horticulture, sericulture, and all such things. Secondary industries, these industries depends on primary, basically they depend on primary industries. They do not have anything on their own, and they convert the raw material received from primary industry into finished goods. For example, tomatoes are provided by primary industries. They are used for making sauces and ketchups. Like another example, sugarcane is provided by primary industry, which is used for making sugar and jaggery. Another example I could give is cotton flower is received from primary industry, which is converted into cotton cloth. Okay, now secondary industry is again divided into two: manufacturing industry and construction industry. Manufacturing industry consists of transforming raw materials into finished products with the help of machine. Manufacturing units, we all are very much aware where that goods are made with the help of machines. The final goods may be capital goods or consumer good. For example, textiles, cloth. A basic example, I said cotton cloth is made from cotton flower, which is coming from primary industry. Now primary industry is giving cotton flower to textile industries, which is a secondary industry, manufacturing industry. Now they produce cloth. Now this cloth can be consumer good and can be capital goods. Like this cloth can be used directly by people also, or it may be processed again by tertiary industries for better utilization. Like it may be given for painting, for printing, for finishing, and then sold to people. Okay, then construction industry, these industries are engaged in the construction of buildings, dams, bridges, roads, tunnels, canals, metro, etc. Okay, that is related to construction. In case of other industries, goods can be produced at one place and sold at another place, but goods made and sold by these industries are at one place. This is only industry which creates immovable wealth. This is very important to understand. This is the fact that distinguishes construction industry from all such industries. Like primary industry, where vegetables are grown separately and sold separately. Secondary industry, sugar, tomato ketchup is made in industry and sold in the market. There are two separate places. But in case of construction industries, where buildings, dams, bridges, canals, metro, etc. are made, so have you ever heard that I am going to make a bridge at my home and then come and install it in your locality? Is it possible? No, because construction industry is the only industry where the production and use of the product is done at the same place, where goods can be produced and used at the same place. If I want to make a flyover from Bhiwandi to Thane, I will make it from Bhiwandi to Thane itself. I cannot make it somewhere in the outskirts of Maharashtra and then bring that flyover and install it between Bhiwandi and Thane. That is not possible. If that would have been possible, the problem of traffic would have never come while constructing these things. So, construction industries helps uh, create immovable wealth. The third type of industry is tertiary industry. They provide support services to primary and secondary services like transportation, warehousing, and any such things for primary and secondary industry. It includes transport, banking, which comes under traditional category, whereas in modern times, hotel industry, tourism industry, entertainment industry, etc., are also included. So they do not produce anything fixed or anything movable, but they only help the primary and secondary industries for producing these products. Like they need money, so they'll go for banking. They need to sell goods from one place to another, then they need transport. So all these things are included in tertiary industry. Tertiary industries are support services to primary and secondary industries. So this was industry, which was divided into three: primary, secondary, and tertiary, wherein primary include agricultural, extractive, and one more. Uh, then secondary includes construction and manufacturing, and the third part was tertiary industries. Commerce. Another section of business is commerce. Commerce is that part of business activity which is concerned with distribution of goods and services produced by industry. Now goods are produced. Goods are produced in the factory, goods are produced in the farms, in the industry, in the manufacturing unit. Goods are extracted from the mines. Now what? If you want to sell these goods to people, to the consumer, you need to take help of the commerce. So commerce is basically distribution of goods which are produced by industry. It includes those activities which are essential for maintaining a free and uninterrupted flow of goods. It bridges the gap between the producers and consumers by exchange of goods and services for money or money's worth. If commerce would have been not there, the produced goods would lay at the factory or the industry itself, and it would be not of any use to anybody. So commerce helped to bridge the gap between the producers and the consumers, and by exchanging it with money or money's worth. Then commerce is further divided into two: trade and auxiliaries to trade. Trade. Trade denote buying and selling of goods and services. Trade is an exchange of goods and services with money or money's worth. Goods are made available to consumers in different markets. Trade facilitates transfer of ownership and possession of goods and services from seller to buyer. Okay, now commerce is distribution of goods and services, and commerce is divided into two: trade and aids to trade. Trade means buying and selling of goods, and aids to trade means things that helps in buying and selling of goods. Okay, so first we'll study about buying and selling of goods. Trade is buying and selling of goods in exchange of money or money's worth. Then trade is help to transfer ownership and possession from one person to another person. Like if I am producing tomatoes, they are under my possession and I am the owner of these tomatoes. But when these tomatoes are distributed in the market and final consumers are consuming these tomatoes, then the ownership and the possession of tomatoes have changed. This was possible with the help of trade. Okay, and trade is divided into two: home trade and foreign trade. Home trade is also called as internal trade because it occurs under the geographical boundaries of a country. Okay, in this trade, buying and selling of goods and services take place within the geographical boundaries of a country. It conducted with local currency for the exchange of goods and services. Very important. If you are dealing within the boundaries of a country, the currency used is only one: the local currency. Like if you are in India and you are doing home trade or internal trade, you will be dealing in rupees. If you are in America and you are doing home trade and internal trade, your currency would be dollars. Understood? Now trade is home trade is divided into two: wholesale trade and retail trade. In wholesale trade, goods are purchased and sold in large quantities, in bulk quantities. Here, wholesalers purchase goods in huge quantity from the producers and sell them to retailers. Here, wholesalers do not sell to final consumers. Wholesalers sell them to retailers, and retailers sell them to final consumers. Like, for example, uh, anything you could say, like cloth. Okay, cloth manufacturer, textile industry have huge bulk quantity of goods produced. Now, wholesalers of cloth will go to these textile industries and pick goods in bulk quantities, in tons, in thousands of kgs, and then they will sell it to retailers in 100 kg, 50 kg, 40 kg, 20 kg lots. No, 100 kg, 200 kg, 300 kg lots, and then these retailers will sell to final consumers in as per their requirement. Okay. So, retail trade is a business activity associated with the sale of goods to final consumers. Retailers are link between the wholesalers and final consumers. They purchase goods from the wholesalers in uh, considerably low quantity and sells it to final consumers in individual quantity, in smaller quantities. Okay. Foreign trade consists of Foreign trade by the name itself suggests that here the goods and services are sold outside the boundaries of the country. So the currency that may be involved are more than one currency, and no local currency only rule applies here. Okay. Then when boundaries of two countries are crossed, then different currencies are used. If I am dealing with America, we'll either deal in dollars or we'll either deal in rupees. If I am dealing with Saudi Arabia, I'll either deal in riyals or in rupees. There will be two different types of currencies involved in international trade, foreign trade, or external trade. Okay, they are outside the boundaries of the country. Import trade, foreign trade is divided into three: import, export, and interport. Import trade, when goods and services are purchased from outside the country, from another country. For example, if I am purchasing uh, machines from America, it is an import trade. Export trade, when goods and services are sold to foreign buyers, it is called as export trade. When I am selling spices or tea or sugar to Japan, it is called as export trade. Now, what is interport trade? Interport trade is a type of trade where three countries are involved. Okay, it involves importing goods from one country and reselling these goods to another country. For example, an Indian seller importing goods from Japan and re-exporting goods to Africa. Another example I would give, as we all know that we do not have a very cordial relation or trade relations also with our neighboring countries like Pakistan. So, if we are not conducting trade with Pakistan, but we want to purchase and sell things to these countries, so first we'll be selling, like for example, a retailer in Pakistan wants to buy sugar from India, a wholesaler. Then this wholesaler will undertake interport trade, and me being an Indian seller, I will sell it first to Afghanistan. Then Afghanistan will then export it to uh, Pakistan. So Afghanistan is undertaking interport trade. How? Because they are purchasing goods from one country in order to sell it to another country. Do you get it? Okay. So this was trade. Trade was divided into two: home trade and foreign trade. Home trade consists of uh, wholesale trade and retail trade, whereas foreign trade consists of import trade and export trade. Okay, so this trade was related to buying and selling of goods and services. Now we are going to study about auxiliaries to trade, that is anything that helps to flourish trade. Now, what are they? All those activities that facilitates smooth flow of goods from manufacturing centers to consumption centers are called as aids to trade or auxiliaries to trade. So these activities play a supportive role. They help in removing hindrances which arise during the production and distribution of goods and services. Okay, so they help in smooth flow of goods from manufacturing center to consumption center. Like if I'm producing, I'll have to use transport, I'll have to use warehouses, I'll have to insure my goods, I'll have to undertake help of banking. All these things comes under auxiliaries to trade, and it is also called as aids to trade. Okay, the very first auxiliary to trade is transport. By the name itself, we know what do you mean by transport. Transportation of goods and services from one place to another, because goods are produced at one place and demanded over a wide area of place. Like apples are produced, best apples are produced in Kashmir, but they are used all over India. So transportation of apple from Kashmir to other parts of India is done with the help of and transfer of apple from one place to another place is done with the help of transport. There are various modes of transport such as roadways, railways, airways. Okay, so goods are sent from one place to another place with the help of transport by using any one mode of transport. Okay, then second auxiliary to trade is warehousing. Okay, there is a gap between production and consumption. We all know that uh, umbrellas are demanded in rainy season, but they may be produced in any other time of the year. So when the manufacturer of umbrella produces umbrella, they need to store it somewhere. So they need the help of warehousing facility, wherein they store their produced goods, and when the rainy season arrives, they transport these goods to the market for final consumption. Okay, certain goods are produced throughout the year but only consumed in one particular part of the year. Okay, these goods should be stored carefully from time, and they are produced from the time they are produced till the time they are consumed. So special arrangements must be made to prevent the loss, damage. Warehouses are also called as godowns. In layman term, we are all aware about godowns where goods are stored, manufactured goods are stored for final consumption. Insurance. Insurance is protection against risk. There are various risks involved in business. The goods may be destroyed while in production, or the business unit may be burnt, or while transporting goods from one country to another via ship, the ship may sink, there may be tsunami, there may be flood, there may be any other natural calamity, so the goods may be lost. So in order to prevent the manufacturer from these risks, there comes insurance. Insurance companies come to rescue. These insurance company undertake to compensate the loss suffered due to any such risk. The businessman has to insure his goods in advance and pay premium regularly to get the benefit of insurance. Yes, it's true that the loss cannot be completely recovered, but at least the individual must be in a position to move forward and start his production or industry again, and the risk or the loss can be minimized with the help of insurance. Do you understand what is insurance? Here, if I am producing a good and I am a producer of a good and I am selling that good to America via ship, so I'll first get my goods insured under marine insurance, and if anything happens while transporting goods from India to America, the risk will be minimized. I will not be the only one to pay the entire loss, because the insurance company have taken guarantee and I have paid my insurance premium regularly, so they will come to rescue and give me the money of loss, some percentage of loss, not full. Okay, then banking. We require money for everything. For even starting a very small shop, you need money. Even if you want to do it online, you need money for app making. You need money for software. You need money for paying salary to your employee. So money is the lifeblood of any business organization, and banks are those auxiliaries to trade which helps in supply of money. Adequate funds can be obtained from the bank Bank also provide various loans and overdraft facilities to its businessmen. We Loan is where you keep some guarantee and take money from bank, and then later you pay that money back. And overdraft is a facility which is given to current account holders, where you can withdraw money more than your balance in the account. Okay, so banks provide many services like checks, drafts, debit cards, credit cards, online transaction. If there would have not been a bank, in today's scenario where everybody is doing everything online, people are teaching online, people are studying online, paying fees online, all these things would have not been possible if there was no banking and no online transactions given by bank. So everybody would have been stuck if the banking was not an option. So banking helps in providing money to the uh, people who produce and sell goods. Okay, what is the next auxiliary to trade? Advertising. Producing the good is not only sufficient, you need to advertise your goods perfectly in order to get consumers. Okay, advertising are of two types: indoor advertisement and outdoor advertisement. It is basically communicating about the qualities of your products that people get attracted. We are very much aware about advertisements. We have seen advertisement on TV, we have seen advertisement in newspapers, we have heard advertisements in radio, and we are whenever you go out, you see posters, you see billboards, you see hoardings, you see signboards, everything have something written on it about some product. You read it, you like it, and you want to buy that product. Like if you see a celebrity who is endorsing a good biscuit, then you want to eat that biscuit. If a celebrity of your choice is, for example, if Shah Rukh Khan comes and says that he loves to eat Cadbury, so you will go and buy Cadbury because you like Shah Rukh Khan, so you want to use that product. So advertisement plays a very important role in selling goods to the consumers by attracting these consumers to your product. Okay, then next auxiliary to trade is mercantile agents. Mercantile agents are uh, scattered over a wide areas. Uh, no, no, sorry. Mercantile agents are those agents we which helps to bridge the gap between buyers and sellers, because sellers are scattered over a wide area, and it is not possible for the seller to, because customers are scattered over a wide area, and it is not possible for the sellers to contact each and individual customer. So these mercantile agents, they act as your intermediary and sell your products to these customers by going door to door, or by being a broker between the retailers and wholesalers or the final consumers and such things. Communication. In today's world, there is information explosion. The information has to be communicated, and communication plays a very wide role in today's global scenario, because everything needs to be communicated. If you want to make an order, you need to communicate it to the seller. If you want to purchase raw material, you need to communicate. Everything requires communication. Advertisement is also a part of communication, wherein you communicate about your product. Okay, various means of communication such as cell phones, postal services, emails, telephone, etc. are used by businessmen all over the world to purchase, buy and sell goods. Okay, so these were the various auxiliaries to trade. So business is classified into very big classification is given about business: industry, commerce, three types of industries, two type of commerce, then trade divided into home and foreign trade, and auxiliaries to trade. We have studied about it in today's lecture. One more topic that we are going to cover today is about business objectives. Why is business conducted? Business is conducted for fulfilling certain objectives. They are economic objectives and social objectives. Economic objectives that are related to earning money, or anything that is related to money. So, earning profit is required for the survival of business and for its growth. Okay, so why do you conduct business? We, as a businessman, we conduct business for earning profit. The very first economic objective of a business is earning profit. Second economic objective is searching for new customers. Okay, so that I can expand my my business, and achieve greater heights and achieve good profits. Okay, the business organization have to work very hard to create new customers and to maintain the existing customers. What is the third economic objective of business? Innovation. It is a development of positive change which results into improvement in product or process of production. If you have to bring innovation in your product, you have to continuously do research, R&D, and you have to create more and more products, new and new product, and upgrade your products. Because like, if HP still sell computers, would you buy it? No, because you want laptops, you want tablets, you want LED screens. So this was possible because HP did innovation. HP brought something new as per the changing situation, or as per the changing scenario. Business people have to change their working model, or they have to bring more and more innovation in their products. So what is the next economic objective? Best possible use of resources. Human resource, money resource, land resource, machine resource, any resource that is available by a businessman have to be used optimally. Optimum use of available resources must be done so that wastage is minimized and you get more profit. Like for example, if I have two workers and I am getting the work done only from one worker, so I am paying salary to one worker for free. That is not optimum utilization of resources. One worker is going to produce 10 units. If I make both the workers work, and then 20 units will be produced, then these 20 units will be sold and the profit will also increase. Okay, so best use of resources is another economic objective of business. What are the social objective of business? Supplying quality products to consumers, because consumers are exploited every now and then. So for a good businessman, it is their social objective to supply good quality product to their consumers. Then second social objective is avoiding unfair trade practices. You do not need to exploit your employees. You should always strive to be fair. You should always strive to be ethical, to provide consumers with the promise that you deliver. Okay, you cannot just make false promises, you cannot make misleading advertisements, and you cannot do adulteration, mixing water with milk, mixing stones with food grains. All these things should be avoided. It is the social objective of the business to provide customers without any unfair trade practice. Employment generation, more and more business will be developed, more and more employment generation will be done. Every country have a huge number of unemployed people. So if there is a setup of a new business enterprises, there will be new openings and people will have employment. People who are unemployed will now have employment and their family will have food to eat. So there will be less unethical practices like robbery or killings or any such things for money, because people are earning on their own. And this was possible with the help of social objective, with the help of business. It is one of the social objective of business to provide employment to their surrounding. Welfare of employees, skilled or unskilled employees, whatever it may be, they should be taken proper care of. They should be given proper facilities, proper working facility, proper drinking facility, water, health, hygiene, everything of the employees should be taken care under this social objective, which is welfare of employees. Next is help to solve social problems. Social problems like water pollution, jams, traffic jams, growth of slums, then which leads to growth of unethical practices. All this can be eradicated with the help of business. Uh, then like businessmen should not only focus on earning money, they should also work for the society. Like you must have seen that there are areas which are maintained by business enterprises. Like you go on roads and you see L&T boards, like this area is maintained by L&T, this area is maintained by Reliance group of company, this area is maintained by Godrej, this garden is maintained by Godrej company. All these things comes under CSR activities of the business industries. They need to work not only for earning profit but also providing services to its localities and helping solving social problems. Like if there are floods, there are uncertain calamities, then these industries should come forward and help the people of the affected areas, contributing to the welfare of the society. Business house should take care of general welfare of the society. For that, they should give donations for good cause, offering scholarship for higher education, etc. I'll give you an example. You must have seen that advertisement of PNG where Anupam Kher comes and says, if you buy any of these products, 1 rupees will go for the education of girl child. So that is contributing to the welfare of the society. Okay, so these were the various social objectives of business. By this we are done with the very first chapter of our 11th standard OCM. Thank you.